Hello, thank you so much for coming today to hear a little bit about the work that I'm doing currently and kind of the journey that has led up to my current body of work. To start off, a little background on me. Really, all you need to know is I love nature, and that's really been kind of what has inspired all of what I've been doing in the art world. Nature has always been, going out into the environment, it's always been where I feel most at peace and kind of this outlet for me. And I also think it's really important for us to have everyone to have a good relationship with the environment and remember that people are both a part of the environment, and kind of recognize the fact that we've separated ourselves and this need to get back and take care of the world that supports us. So kind of with that foundation, you'll see throughout all of my pieces, there's themes focused around the environment, primarily working with plants. Some of my early work focused on poisonous plants. That was kind of the first time I started really focusing and learning about different plants, and I was really thinking about poisonous plants as kind of nature's way of fighting back and that whole relationship. And then later working a little bit larger scale, primarily with ceramics, creating plant models, and here I was kind of thinking more about the human touch and the attention to detail and all of the detail that is present in nature, and kind of recognizing all of that beauty and spending the time to really notice. So you can see that in my all natural piece that I'm showing here. And then moving forward, there was a huge turning point for my work that really kind of pushed me into the direction of working specifically with plants. I used as a springboard, and that was going abroad. My junior year, fall quarter, I went to Costa Rica, and it was a wonderful experience. And really what the best part about it for me, as far as my work goes, was I was put in a botany class. It's kind of a random class. I had wanted to take a different art class, and the two art classes I wanted to take overlap, so they threw me in something else, and this botany class was the greatest class I've ever taken. It was really fascinating to learn about all of the different functions of plants and their role in the environment. And coming back from abroad, I felt like I knew quite a bit about the plants in Costa Rica, and I had a great time going for a hike and being like, oh, let me tell you a little bit about this. And I wanted to have that same knowledge about my environment here in Colorado. And so it kind of made it my own goal to learn as much as I can and start to be able to identify different plants in Colorado and their role, because I think it's really important to know your surroundings. And so my first piece that really kind of focused on this theme was native. I worked with encaustics and ceramics, trying to incorporate different mediums. Encaustics was still kind of new to me, and I had a really fun time experimenting with that as a medium. And I was trying to pull elements of different native plants together into one piece. And then, after that piece, I started a ceramic and botany independent study here with Mia Mulvey, and I had a really wonderful time trying to think about how plants could be represented through ceramics, and kind of the role of art as a model and as a form of education, and kind of its use and application in almost a scientific manner. And I started collecting lots of books throughout this time, looking both at books with drawings or both photographic imagery and hand-drawn imagery. And like every time I go to the thrift store, the first thing I do is look at the book section and see what new books I can collect. And I was also kind of referencing botanical cards, like the ones used in a herbarium. Kind of that idea of like preserving this plant so that we can learn from it. And so with kind of that research as a foundation, I made a series of pieces that each explored a different piece or different plant. I was specifically looking at useful plants, so plants that could be eaten or could be used as a medicine, etc. And plants specifically found in the Denver area, Colorado. So I can show you here, we have Mormon tea, and then prickly pear, and then my yucca piece. And each of these pieces I was playing with both the ceramics, having that really tactile, personal connection with me because of the need to, like, the detailed modeling required for that piece, and then also incorporating the wall, trying to make this space not just 2 or 3D, kind of referencing the herbarium cards as a flat surface, but also extending beyond just the surface. So I thought these were really fun ways to think about that kind of overlap between art and science, and a way for me to learn about other plants through my art practice. After this series, there was kind of another huge shift in my work that kind of took me away from the hard representational aspects of these pieces, and that was going to Anderson Ranch. I took a workshop with Kate Roberts on alternative clay practices, and she really got me thinking about clay as something that can be a material without the whole firing process, and thinking more about the meaning of the firing process as this way to freeze the clay in time, but then also how clay can act and continue to change if it is not fired, and how that can play a role in my art. And also while I was there, I heard Lisa Klog talk, and she mentioned a piece that she had grown some beans out of by mistake. She had mixed it in with clay, and how it got these really interesting moments where the seeds burst through the clay surface, and then the plants fired away, leaving just kind of that moment of explosion. And so I really wanted, that whole idea really excited me and was something I wanted to play with. So after coming back from that workshop, I did this piece, you should see here, called Stepping Stones, where I was thinking about materiality and how some things are both manufactured and organic, natural, and kind of where do we draw that line, questioning if there should be a separation or not. And by that I mean I have beans and seeds that were store-bought, so man-grown, but still organic material. Clay itself comes from the earth, but is a processed material. And then there were also like sticks and dirt that I found on campus where they were, man-grown, or placed there to, keep the campus aesthetic. And so with that piece, I was kind of exploring the way that my touch could act on the materials, as well as the way the materials could act on themselves. It allowed the plants to grow out of the pieces, and They actually get that moment of bursting through the clay. And then I also put this piece outside so that it could slowly decompose over time, kind of facing the elements. Rather than trying to freeze the moment, kind of have this temporariality to the piece. And that kind of took my whole body of work in this whole new direction, because the idea of putting plants into my work was really fascinating to me. My current body of work is mixing beans. I just went to Walmart and bought every single type of bean that they have. So I have lima beans, black beans, red beans, pinto beans, navy beans. They've all really worked successfully within the clay. In an enclosed container, they will sprout and leave behind their mark. Lentils, chia seeds, etc. And I've been playing with the idea of how I can fire these objects and the plants will burn away, but I kind of have this fossilized moment in time. But I can also display the work as it's growing and kind of reference more of life cycles and how the time can act on the object. And so moving forward, I'm going to be doing a show in the Vicky Myron Gallery starting at the end of May. I'm super excited. This is the BFA senior show. And so I plan to add aspects of both the fired pieces and the unfired pieces and show kind of this process as part of the work. And really focus on that aspect of the interaction between my own touch on the piece and the touch of the plants and nature acting upon the work as kind of a collaborative effort. I guess that's really all. Thank you so much for coming and hearing me speak. I'd like to open the floor for some Q&A. Thank you.